Going back to that oral sex thing again, aren't we?
So what have we got? We've got Watergate. We've got 1966 was a fix. We've got Charles XII of Sweden.
What?
Yeah.
Who?
No, we haven't missed that one.
No, Titanic, then UFOs.
This like Watergate. This is the genuine one.
Okay.
Charles XII of Sweden. Before Hitler and...
Is this number 6? Sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, 5, mate.
Before...
Go on.
Hitler and Napoleon, right, failed to conquer Europe because they tried to invade Russia as well. Charles XII of Sweden was the biggest megalomaniac Europe had ever known. Yeah, Swede. And he conquered like Norway and then Belgium and then Germany and France, and then he decided to have a go at Russia.
Right.
Okay, but he failed.
Okay.
And so he went back to Sweden with his tail between his legs, and he said, I know what we'll do, we'll start all over again. And his generals went, for fuck's sake. So he said, right, now we're going to start all over again. We're going to start again with Norway, like we did before. With Norway, we're going to beat them. So he declared war on Norway again, and they set up for a battle. And the Norwegians were over there, and the Swedes were over there, and Charles said to his generals, let's go and have a look at the Norwegians. And they dug a trench so that you could go and have a look. And the generals, 4 of them, went down the trench with Charles XII, and then there was a gunshot, and they came back carrying the king, and he'd had his brains blown out. And they went, sniper. They went, sniper. Right? Only I've seen pictures of the skull of Charles XII, which has been preserved. I don't know why they've taken all the flesh off, and there it is. Okay, and you can plainly see, because the snipers were over on the right of the Norwegian thing, right?
Yeah.
Because there were trees there, so that's where the snipers were.
Obviously, yeah.
So if he'd been hit by a sniper, the bullet would have gone in the right and come out the left. But you can plainly see that the bullet hole, which is clearly fired at close range, went in the left and came out the right. So it's just nice. The generals were so stupid to shoot him in that side of the head. But they obviously got him down the end of the trench, pinned him down, put one in him. So that's a proper conspiracy theory, more or less totally proved. So that's a good, I think that's a good one.
Yep.
Okay. JFK.
Well, no, I don't believe a fucking word of it, mate.
Okay, but is it a good conspiracy?
It's very good.
Is
It's
it
very
worth
well
going
covered
over
up.
it again? I mean,
No, not really. I think everybody knows the JFK story, don't they? And what it,
everybody
you know,
does.
all the alternatives from Fidel to the Russians to the mafia to whatever crime organisation you want to come up with could have killed him.
Okay, so bollocks to John F. Kennedy. Okay?
Yeah.
John Major is a Russian citizen.
No, I'm not so sure about that one. I don't know.
I would love for that to have some substance, but I don't know.
I could see how you could think that, but I don't know. Personally.
Why didn't he do anything when he was in power?
Like what? He never planned to be Prime Minister. That wasn't the plan, wasn't for Ivan Moyer, which is his real name, to be Prime Minister. He was just going to come to this country and get involved in politics and report everything back to the Soviet Union, the KGB. And then he wakes up and he's Prime Minister. But not only that, the Cold War's over. So there's no point being a top Russian spy in England because they're not the enemy anymore. Russia's in NATO. You know, we're friends.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, well, no, I don't know.
Let's take a call.
I was about to say something that was complete bollocks.
Complete bollocks is good.
Yep.
Good evening. Thank you for calling 01243 55.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, that was good, yes.
Righto, is that you, Steve? Stuart?
Yes, it is, mate. How are you?
All right. I'm not so bad. Are you not going live to air in that way?
Yeah.
What's something going for a piss, has he?
No, he's here.
Oh, all right, because, you see, what I was going to do is I was going to say it's all about oil, you know, that way. But that's a bit of a conspiracy, isn't it?
What's all about oil?
It's all about oil. All right, son. How you doing? It's all about oil. That's what our granddad said. It was all a conspiracy. So, you know, you was on about all this climate change and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's all about oil as well, isn't it, I suppose?
Well, I don't think it is. I'll explain about why there's no climate change. It's because we need to do something to slow the Chinese down because their economy is expanding so fast that they're just going to go sailing past us. And we, in the West, are just going to be like bit part players on the global stage, because Beijing is going to be running everything in about 5 to 10 years' time. And we can't stop them. All we can do is say to them, please don't. And the best way we can do that is by saying, we disapprove of you building all those power stations, because it's going to kill the planet.
That's fair enough, though, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
I mean, if we come across them, if we come across the Wileys from the east, we could be barking up the wrong tree. You see, as a stranger going to the west and seeking that which was lost, I'd say to you, on the level and on the square, if you wouldn't mind giving a message to Colin in that sense, and tell him everything's all right this end, that way. Perhaps it's the Masons, chum. What do you reckon?
I don't know. I've been to a Masonic hall, but I don't...
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. My accountant, when I lived in Brighton, he said, would you like to come down? We're having an open day. Right. I said, an open day?
Bring your own sacrifices.
So he said, yeah. He said, we're all going to bring a member of the public. So I said, all right, go on then. So I went in there, and it's... they were a harmless bunch. It was almost just like the round table, the Rotary clubs, the Lions, the water. No, nor do I. It's all bollocks. I've met some people who think when they've run foul of them, they think, they've ended up getting a good kicking like Matt will get if he carries on rowing with Ian, that way. Would you be interested in seeing Ian and Matt have a fight?
I tell you what, I had that fucking fat Steve, big fat bastard, wishing you fucking cancer.
He did.
Dirty cunt. I tell you what, I don't care how fucking big he is.
Yeah.
And I won't need any tools with him. Anyway, I've tried Skyping now. I can't quite do it, something that way. But I watched your signing the other week. I thought that was fabulous. I know how to do my ABC, or I used to know how to do my ABC with my hands.
Yeah.
But I can't get the webcam working, so...
well, I got the idea because I was up late one night and I saw them, and Train Spotting was on. You know the film?
Of course, yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but through the night on the BBC, they sign everything.
I haven't got a television. I tell you what, I knocked the television on the head about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I ain't coming on like a fucking hero or anything, that way. I'm not claiming my carbon footprints down, but in a way, I don't use that much. And about the best 40 quid I ever spent was an allotment. No shit. I mean, it's bang on. I got a plum tree, I got an apple tree, all that kind of stuff. And the dough that I spent on the broadband, But television, I haven't bothered. But on the internet, it's all about... You can watch what you want, can't you? But, if you start going into these conspiracies, you can end up going fucking balmy, can't you?
That's the plan. Thank you. Nice talking to you again. What's going down, Matt? What you got there?
Just have a look at some of the chat rooms. Somebody thinks I might have a complex. People often retaliate when they feel overwhelmed and insecure.
Mark Pearson says, when are Ian, Lee and Matt getting married?
Nice email from Mark, who says he heard, first of all, Fat Steve going on about the fact that his great-grandparents were shot as part of the Holocaust, which is tragic.
Yep.
And then Mark also heard Matt saying that he wants to talk about the possibility that the Titanic wasn't the Titanic, but a sister ship which had been damaged in dock in Liverpool called the Olympic.
Yep.
And Mark takes us to task on this for poor taste. He says, I'm fuming. My great-great-great-grandparents died on the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you deny this tragedy?
I'm not denying the tragedy. I'm just saying it was a different name to the ship.
What next? Father Christmas isn't real. The BBC have got a problem coming up. The BBC now cannot lie about anything.
Yes.
Well, I got taken to task some years ago because I talked to an adult and I said, oh, how old are your children on air?